Hello, everyone, and welcome to Divas of the Roundtable. It's me, Ladybug. Nikki Nicole. She's here today with us, but she's a little under the weather, so she'll be in the background. Spicy is on the road, holiday season, so she's busy making sure you all get your deliveries for the holidays. On today's show, we have Miss Claudia Beureuse. This beautiful sister is proud of her Haitian roots, speaking both Spanish and Creole. She's a wife to a loving husband of 21 years, and they share two sons, ages 21 and 13 years old. Claudia has been in the medical field for how many years?
About 15 years now.
Okay, about 15 years. Aside from her favorite pastime, used for reading, playing board games, and spending time with her family, Claudia helps other families in need through Haven Hospice. Today, she will share with us all of the benefits hospice service can provide. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Claudia Beureuse. Thank you so much for being here with us, Claudia, today. So let's just get into understanding hospice. For those who may not know, what is hospice, I guess, in the simplest terms?
Yes. So first of all, thank you for having me. I'm always excited to share about what services do, because let's start out with just saying that I call hospice the H word, right? Okay. It's like the moment somebody hears hospice, it's like, let's get everybody together because somebody's under deathbed or it means the worst. So one of my goals, Ladybug, is to say, how can we get people to understand what are some of the positive things that hospice does and how we can walk a journey with a family a little bit longer. So first, the one thing that I like to talk about hospice is that we are service. We're not a place. Gotcha. A lot of people think that whenever somebody goes to hospice, that means they're actually going somewhere. They're going to a hospice facility. And while we do have a facility, we have a couple actually that I call it the ICU, right? Like if you're going to the hospital, not everybody goes to the ICU, right?
Yes.
So there is sometimes where there's a need for a hospice unit for somebody to come in, and I'll talk a little bit about why a little bit later.
Okay.
But first of all, we're a service. So what that means is that we come to you wherever you are, whether that is in somebody's private home, at an assisted living facility, at a skilled nursing facility. We are going to provide all of the things to you at your place, right?
Okay.
So at the core of hospice, we're all about providing comfort care.
Gotcha.
If somebody's at a point where curative measures is no longer an option, we want to come in and say, how can we walk this journey with a family member who is in a place where end of life is something that's a reality, right?
Right.
So if I could say at a overall, what is our services provide, right?
Okay.
So I always try to say the highlights. So number one is people. Somebody comes on hospice, we provide with a nurse that's going to come in. They're going to manage their medications, come and do assessments, their entire plan of care.
Gotcha.
We have home health aides or CNAs that come out and help with what we call daily assistance of daily living. So activities of daily living. So that could be bathing, grooming, things like that, helping the family member know how to turn a patient, how do you care for them, how do you, navigate in your own space. Because remember, I said, we're coming to you, right? We have a social worker that helps with emotional needs and also help with resources. Whenever somebody is at a certain place, you may not understand how to navigate healthcare, right?
Yeah.
So we help you do that with our social workers, provide resources and also emotional support, because this is obviously a very difficult time.
Yes.
So help you navigate through all of that. And then we also have chaplains that provide spiritual support.
Okay.
So that's the core. I don't know if you know this, Ladybug, but hospice was actually started by volunteers.
Oh, wow.
Before it became a part of the Medicare benefit. So before insurance ever said this is a real thing, volunteers got together and said there needs to be some additional assistance when somebody's at this stage. So even today, even though Medicare does pay for hospice now, and most insurances and Medicaid, we still provide a lot of our services through our volunteer services. So we keep that around. Medicare actually still regulates it through hospice. So we have lots of volunteers. We actually have hundreds of volunteers within Haven alone. We're so grateful that people, they've had a personal experience, they come out and they volunteer. So our volunteers could do things like we have volunteers that come with their pet and they provide that support to people in our unit.
Oh, okay.
We have volunteers that come and they'll sit with your loved one so that you can finally go and get a haircut or
Right,
go grocery shopping,
right.
So we do have volunteers. So that's part of the people,
Okay.
right? So that's what we do. In addition to that, we'll look to see what you need. So we'll do equipment. That could be a hospital bed. It could be a wheelchair. It could be a
Right.
shower chair. What do you need in order to be able to safely stay home? And then we'll provide supplies. So some things like, if somebody's incontinent, we might put a Chucks like on the bed, right?
Okay.
We might do incontinence supplies, hypoallergenic body wash, shampoo.
Got
All
you.
of that is included.
Oh,
And then we're also here 24/7. So what that means is something happens, it's the middle of the night, 9 o'clock at night, mom doesn't feel so good. Obviously we don't want her to go to the hospital, but
right.
I don't want to ignore it either, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure she's okay.
Right.
You call us, we'll actually send a nurse to your location, do that assessment at the bedside. If there is maybe something that's needed, maybe there's a cut, so we need to do wound care, or we realize there's a different change of medications that we need to do, right? We call our doctor, get it done right away so that you never have to leave the comfort of home. So all of that as a nutshell, if you're like, what is hospice and what does it include? All of it. And I would be remiss if I didn't say what most people don't realize, and I think it's a little bit sad about hospice services utilization, is that with Medicare and Medicaid and most insurances, there is no copay. So everything that I just mentioned to you, family does not come out of pocket for any of that.
That's a blessing. That's a great blessing.
Yes, absolutely.
That is a big blessing.
Yep. So a lot of times, I'll meet with a family member and they'll talk about, it'll be unfortunately towards the very end where, it looks like their loved one may have maybe days or weeks to live. And I'll talk to them and I said, tell me what's been going on for the last few months. And there's been such a struggle with trying to figure this out amongst themselves.
Right.
And unfortunately, we could have had hospice a lot earlier when we could have came in and gave you all of this support with the equipment, the supplies, the people, the volunteers, all of that could have happened a lot earlier. So that's kind of my goal, is to say, not only do we provide all of these services, but with hospice, the criteria to qualify for hospice is that when we see a patient, when we see your loved one, we say, do we think at that time that they have 6 months or less to live, right? But most people unfortunately think of hospice when there's like that 6-day mark, right? Like it's about to happen.
Yes.
But we're saying, how can we be here to support you a lot sooner?
Oh, you gave us
I gave you a lot.
Yeah, you gave me okay, now I see hospice it's a different light. But most of the time when we hear of hospice, you hear, oh, Big Mama at hospice, and you like, well, let's start getting everybody together, because we're thinking like hospice is the final step and it's like hours, but we didn't know that hospice provides a variety of services. And I think a lot of people didn't know that. They just think that hospice is for you when your family members have nothing left in them, that then you send them to hospice, and hospice is just like the resting place before they go on. But you gave us a plethora of information. So what signs should a family look for to indicate whether it might be time for hospice with a loved one? Because I know a lot of times when we're dealing with family members who have had extended health issues, like you said, we kind of wait till the last minute. So what kind of things should we look for with our family members who have been sick for a long time to see if hospice may be the next step? What kind of things could we look for with our family members?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be based on diagnosis, but I'll give you general criteria, right? So I always say, if there's a point where I look back a few months ago, right, and say, I can see that there's been a significant decline, right? Mom used to be able to walk and make food, and now she can't. We used to be able to eat regular foods, and now she can hardly chew the food anymore. So we're going towards softer foods, right?
Gotcha.
Or she's only eating about, half of what she used to eat. I can see a decline. So there's change. Mom used to be able to go to the bathroom, and now she's having accidents all the time, right? I don't feel safe leaving her alone anymore because of, these things that are changed. So if there is a significant decline, and then you put that together with, we also don't think that there's what we call curative things that we can do, right? So I'll use dementia as an example, right? So somebody could have dementia for a long time. But if you get to the point where, you know, they've had dementia and they've been pretty stable with the dementia, you notice the same symptoms, but then all of a sudden you're noticing, wow, like I could see that there's a difference in what, you know, mom used to do, you know, a few months ago than today, right? And I could quantify that, right?
Gotcha.
Like I just said, eating less, you know, maybe she's choking. I'm afraid of, you know, she's staying in bed most of the time. She's sleeping like 18, 20 hours a day, right? So all of those are signs that we should call hospice, right? Other things, you know, with other diseases, and I'll give it to you real quick, is somebody who's using, you know, more oxygen. They keep going back and forth to the hospital, and every time we go to the ER, they'll treat it and then they'll send them right back home. That really means that there's not really much that we can do. There's not a cure, right? We're just at that point, you're going to the ER to manage that symptom, and that's something that we could do at hospice and not have you keep going back and forth
to the hospital. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, why do you think many families wait until the last minute to call hospice?
Oh, so, you know, I talked about it a little bit earlier about the H word, right?
Yes.
So when people think about hospice, that means giving up. Or like, I don't want to give up. Like, I'm not going to put mom because we're still fighting, right? Or they think about hospice is going to give them morphine and then they're going to die. Or the last person I knew died right after they put him on hospice, and I don't want that for mom. And unfortunately, those are all misconceptions, right? So I always say, when your loved one comes in hospice, what are you giving up? Right? I just told you all of the things we're adding.
Yes.
So what is it that we're giving up? So a lot of times that's question number one.
Okay.
And if you're already to the point where you're not doing curative things, then you're not giving up anything. It doesn't mean we're not treating the blood pressure. It doesn't mean we're not treating the infection. We're not about helping people die. We're about saying, you're already on this journey. How do we walk that journey with you so that it is a little bit of a more comfortable space, right? So that's probably it. A lot of people have had bad experiences with morphine, and we say, well, the reason why hospice, can I just stop and say why hospice uses morphine for a reason, for a little bit? And that's going to be the nurse in me. So a lot of times patients get towards the very end and they're not able to swallow anymore.
Gotcha.
But you're seeing that they're having, like, you'll see like whether not breathing right, so respiratory, and then you'll see them moaning in pain. Well, nobody wants to see their loved one in that space.
Right.
Please, if it's me, please, like, don't let me be in pain.
Right.
So morphine, you actually take drops, you put it in the mouth, and it dissolves. So even if that person is unable to swallow, they're going to be able to absorb that medicine, right? It works in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Right? So it's a quick way for us to be able to manage that. And it helps with not only respiratory, but it also helps with pain. So you do a 2-for-1.
Right.
So that's the reason why hospice uses morphine. But if I'm meeting with someone who is earlier on in their journey, well, you're not there yet.
Right.
Obviously, you don't need morphine, right? So we're not going to give it to you.
Right.
We might order it and say, let's leave it here so that we have it in case we need it, right? Like, we don't want to have to need it one day and then now we have to call the pharmacy, wait for it to. So we'll a lot of times order it just in case you need it. But it doesn't mean that we're saying you have to have it. And hospice doesn't take away your choice. If you're adamant that you don't want it, then don't have it. All we can do is say, this is why we would use it, right? So that's probably number one, is people think that you're giving up or you're going to use this medication to help the process along, which is not true, unfortunately.
Okay, well, yeah, I like that. I'm glad you broke the morphine down, because you hear people a lot saying, well, they're going to take morphine and then they're just going to fall asleep, or the morphine is going to take care of everything, and they don't want them feeling like they're zonked out because they're on the morphine. So I'm glad you gave that breakdown of what the morphine can do. So I know that a lot of times when families come to hospice, they're very overwhelmed. They are very overwhelmed because you have to deal with the fact that your family member or your loved one is they're in their final stages of getting ready to transition. So hospice, I know you heard about the volunteers. How beneficial and helpful have the volunteers been as far as helping families and caregivers with feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, and you know what happens, Ladybug, is a lot of times we'll go in with your family and they have just been doing it alone, right? So number one is getting you some help. Sometimes, especially with somebody, like I mentioned dementia earlier, and I'll mention that a few times because it seems to be the most prevalent thing that we're dealing with
Yes.
right now. But if you're taking care of someone who is requiring 24/7 help,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we'll meet with a lot of family members who are trying to work or
Yes.
and do this,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Or they're putting a schedule together and they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, and then you know, I'll meet with a lot of people that said mom never wanted to go to a nursing home. I
Yeah.
never wanted to do that. And that's completely okay. We just say, how can we make the load a little bit lighter?
Right.
So one of the things that hospice does provide is we provide something called respite.
Okay.
While volunteers are great for providing a very short
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, you know, I will say you gotta refill yourself so that you can care for a loved one, right?
Yeah.
Is that whole put your mask on first.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have respite within that it's paid for as well, and it's 5 nights,
Okay.
right? So we'll take your loved one, we'll put them in a facility for 5 nights,
Mm.
and then that way you can maybe just take a vacation that you've
Yeah.
needed, or maybe you're sick, right? Or you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to take care of yourself. So that is something that is provided. We do everything from setting up the transport to go there
Oh.
and back to making sure they have the medications when they get
Mm-hmm.
there, ensuring that we do report from one to the other. So we kind of take it off of your take that load off for
Yeah.
you, and then they can do that 5 night respite stay. So that's also a great benefit for
It is.
families who are just feeling like, look, I still want to take care of my loved one, but
Right.
I just need a moment.
Yeah, because like I said, my dad has dementia and he's had dementia for a long time. So we were able to find some place for him, assisted living, but that was the one of the hardest things I ever did in my life because I was like, I'm leaving my daddy. And
Hmm.
when I say I boo-hooed, I boo-hoo cried like a baby because I was leaving my daddy.
Yeah.
I was leaving my dad, and I was like, I can't believe. In my mind now, my dad's been sick and battling dementia. And I said, my Superman's not super anymore. So I can understand being overwhelmed because I was very overwhelmed leaving my dad
Hmm.
with people who I didn't know, and how was he going to respond? How was he going to react? How was he going to feel? So I used to, and then he was like an hour and a half. I used to get on the road every weekend for like, I want to say about 7, 8 months. Every weekend, nonstop, I would go see my dad. Then something said, wait a minute, it clicked on. Your dad's smart, your dad's strong, he's intelligent. One thing your dad's going to do is be a survivor. Then I
Hmm.
said, okay, I can start to fall back. He's getting adjusted, he's getting better. I trust the people.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, having someone that you can trust with your father or your loved one. Because my dad had got sick maybe a year or something ago, and he came here in Jacksonville. And when I tell you, I said, there is no way I will let my dad stay here. Soon as his rehab is over, I'm taking him out of here and he's going back to where he came, because it was like there was no communication. Every time I tried to call, he was moved on a different
Oh
wing. I
no.
mean, it was like every day I said, why is he being moved? Why is he being moved? And then the initial smell when you walked in, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that smell, because to me, I was like, no, this is not how it's supposed to smell, because this is not how it smells at his other assisted living. So I expect for it to be
Be
the
the
same.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very hard and overwhelming as a family member, especially when you're trying to do everything on your own, making sure your dad's okay, making sure you're taking care of him, making sure his mentality and people are talking to him. Because a lot of times when I go to the assisted living facility, a lot of those people, families don't come and see them. They definitely don't come and see them. So I can see hospice. I know that's even harder for those people who are in hospice, not being able to see your family members. So what can we do to educate ourselves about hospice, and how we can educate ourselves just to know more about hospice, so we won't be feeling like, ugh, hospice is this final
That's
resting
amazing.
place.
First of all, I want to commend you on, making the decision, because I think it's
Yes.
always hard for us as human beings. We want to do it all too, right? We
Yeah,
want to
I want to do it
we
all.
want to do it all, but I think there comes a time where we have to say,
I can't do it.
there's a time and a place for everything,
Mhm.
right? We know that. And sometimes you have, like you said, he's in a dementia unit, and those are people that are experts
Yep.
at what he's dealing with right now.
Mhm.
And it's hard for us to trust that other people are experts,
Mhm.
right? But I think it's important for us to realize that sometimes it's okay as long as
Yeah.
we find a place that we trust. I think you
Yes.
said exactly what is necessary. But I commend all of the healthcare workers that are working, at facilities, because it's not easy. But you're right. You get to a point where even, dementia gets worse or the condition gets worse.
Mhm.
And what we do is we always say we are supportive services.
Okay.
That's how we call ourselves. So we're additional support. So what happens when somebody is at a facility, like an assisted living facility or a nursing home, is they're going to continue to do everything that they're doing,
Mhm.
right? But when they get to the point where they would qualify for hospice services because we've identified that there's a decline, that there's a
Right.
need, then we can come in early. And then everything that I talked about that we do in a home, we also do it in a skilled nursing facility. So we'll go to the facility,
Mhm.
either ALF or a nursing home, and we will provide, the nurse will still go out. So you have to think about when somebody is at the facility, that nurse may have, they may have a wing that they're caring for.
Right.
But then you're going to have your hospice nurse, and they're going in there for one patient. They're going in there for
Right.
you
Yes.
to make sure that, are your meds okay? Do you have
Mhm.
everything that you need? Is there something coming on? Is there, so they're doing a personal assessment. You have your own CNAs from hospice that are coming in. They're doing that same thing that I talk about, that bath. They're doing it for that person. So we're doing all of those services in a facility and then communicating with you regarding what we're doing. So a lot of families say, I just love the communication that hospice is able to do it, because they're there just for my loved ones. So they're going to tell me everything that's happening. And one thing that happens as well, that I didn't even know this until I got to hospice, because I worked in other healthcare fields before, is our social workers and chaplains, sometimes they're not even meeting with the patient only, they're meeting with the family. Because you're not at the facility, but you might need some emotional support to deal with this, right?
You need it.
So we're setting up appointments to meet with you at a different place, right? That's kind of caring for you. So we not only care for the patient, but the caregiver. But what people can do about the way, I think listening to this is good, because they're listening to getting the information about what hospice provides. I know it's easier said than done, but we have to be open-minded when listening to what they're going to do. And remember, you're in control.
Right.
So, I always say it's like, I sometimes equate it to like buying a car. When I buy a car, there's all these features in it, right? Like, but I may never use the Bluetooth. I may never use like this turbo mode or whatever it is, but it's there if I need it, right? Or if I want to use it, but I don't have to use it because I don't know what turbo mode is or whatever. I have like sport mode in my car. I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but I'm sure somebody else will. So it's the same thing. So if you feel like you love having, the social worker and chaplain, great, use it, right? But if you're like, no, I don't want to, then don't use it, right?
Gotcha.
So when you're talking about hospice and you're saying, I don't want to do morphine, but don't use it, right?
Right.
Like, you're still in control. No one's going to say like, you have to. Same thing with the DNR. If anybody knows what the DNR, so do not resist safe form. And some people say, well, I know that, we're getting there, but I'm not really ready to sign the DNR form. Then don't sign it.
Don't sign it.
Or we're going to educate you on what does it mean, right? What does it mean when you do sign it, when you don't sign it? And we're going to continue to talk to you about it because we do expect that this might be a natural death.
Right.
But I always say just signing on to hospice is always like that signing on that dotted line, right? Just like that act of like putting it, like you could probably relate to with your dad, like just signing him up, just bringing him there like that. That's hard enough. But we don't have to make every decision on day one.
Okay.
That's why if we could be there longer with you, if we could be there 6 months out rather than 6 days, we have the time to say, let's get you there, right? Okay. Like let's make one decision at a time.
Right.
Right. So you don't have to feel like it's an all or nothing kind of thing.
Right.
And I'll be remiss if I didn't say this, is let's say that you had hospice and you're like, you know what, I don't like it. You can get off of hospice. It's not a life sentence. You know what I mean? You can get off of it. There's a one form, you say, you know what, there's these things that I don't like. Or, I'll talk a lot about, sometimes I meet with a younger cancer patient. Those are always a little hard. But, they may get to the point when they're saying there's no cure right now. There's nothing. So let's do hospice. But miracles are happening every day.
Yes.
So if you get a call and say, hey, there's this new trial happening that we think could work for you, please, by all means, like maybe hospice at that point is no longer good for you, right?
Right.
You call us, you get off of it, and then you go do that trial.
Oh, wow.
So it is not, it's always the same thing too. When you talk about educating, it's, you always have a choice. We don't take away
Always.
choice, we give you choice.
That's good. So then I heard you say that you do children. I never thought about hospice and children.
Yeah.
So explain about hospice and children.
Yeah. Don't happen as often, but
Okay.
you know, when you need it, you need it. So sometimes, you know, as we know, we don't want to talk about it. You know, these
Right.
are hard conversations.
Hard.
But there are times where a child may have a terminal disease, right? They may have cancer or other things that are happening, and we want to be supportive to that population too. We would be remiss if we didn't say if there was a child that needed our services and we said no. Think about parents dealing with it, right? It's a lot
Yes.
emotionally. The nice thing about it is that with and I don't know if nice is a nice word, you know, for children, but the whenever you're an adult and you want hospice, we just say you do have to make a choice whether you're going to pursue that curative chemo
Right.
or you want to just pursue hospice where we're going to just care for you, right?
Okay.
So with children, you don't have to make that choice.
Right.
So you could be on hospice knowing that you have this, but still pursue that chemo or still get that aggressive treatment.
Okay.
So you kind of get a little bit of both. So we have had children that have been on our services for years. And that's necessary. And there's so many great things that we can do. I remember I had a teenager that we helped her go to her prom. I mean, we helped her go to, you know, all she wanted to do was graduate. And, you know, we were just praying that she made it.
Yes.
But she was with us for a while. Pain management is a really big thing with children and teenagers, just trying to make sure that. But we do. We're always extra vigilant whenever we get a child or a teenager because, I mean, it's hard. It's always hard, but it's extra hard, right? But yes, we do provide care for children as well.
Okay. Oh gosh. Well, so tell us, where can we find you? How are you located? Give us that information on if we need hospice, how can we reach you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have my cell phone now.
Yeah. I'm gonna need it. But how can the viewers reach you?
Yeah. So if you were in the Northeast, so Haven, so I work for Haven Hospice specifically, and Haven services the northeast of Florida. So it's as west as like City area. And then we also cover like Nassau, Duval, all the way down to Volusia County, Alachua County. So that entire northeast Florida. And if you're in a 904-386 area code or 352, then if you call 1-800-HOSPICE, it will call us directly. Otherwise, you can reach us online at havenhospice.com. And then you can, there is a form online that you can use and put your information, and then we can give you a call back.
Okay.
And then we do have an app called Hospice by Your Side. And there is a way that you can choose Haven Hospice, and then you can put your information on there, and then we will give you a call back on that.
Well, Claudia, you gave us some really helpful and beneficial information about hospice. I now have a new definition.
Good.
And a new outlook on hospice. And I really thank you for your dedication, because it seems like you're so passionate about hospice and how dedicated you are to helping. We need more people to help, especially when people are at that point where they need help with their loved ones in their final stages of transitioning. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was Claudia Beureuse with Haven Hospice. I hope that you learned something. I know I learned. I have a lot of questions now about hospice. So we thank you for this episode of Divas of the Roundtable. Again, we had Claudia from Haven Host. I am Ladybug. We have Nikki Nicole, who's out with a little cough, but she's still here waving. Let me tell y'all, she was giving us notes and all of this stuff. She was the director for today. So again, yes, we thank you all. Stay tuned. We love you. Thank you all for your support. Like, love, and share. And Divas of the Roundtable loves and appreciates you. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.